Hello friends, and welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 36. 36. I have some notes over here on my computer. That's what I look at from time to time. And I'm so glad that you're joining me today. I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We are having for North Carolina, a beautiful warm spring day at 78 degrees and sunny. Other parts of the country, this would be a warm summer day at 78 degrees. But anyway, that's where we are here in North Carolina. A lot of things are in bloom, including redbud trees and daffodils. Actually, our daffodils are on the wane. Soon, people who have tulips will have them up there a little later than daffodils around here. And a traditional fact-ish thing, myth, fable, is that the dogwood tree blooms for Easter. Now, Easter is a month from now, and it's hard to picture that the dogwood is going to hold off a month, but that is a tradition that the dogwood blooms for Easter. We'll see what happens. We have a cherry tree in our front yard, which I'll put a picture of from some prior year. It's just now beginning to bloom. Today is the beginning. In another couple of days, it will be at its peak. Anyway, as I say, thanks for joining me. This is a Flosstube, meaning I talk about cross-stitch projects, and a variety show in that I talk about other things, which I hope you'll find interesting. So, cross-stitch first. This has been out of sight for quite a while. Under the roof of blue Ionian weather, charted by Kite. I've said before, this is a painting that, a print of which used to hang in my childhood home over the piano. And here is where I am. So in terms of number of stitches, I'm about 38%, I think, is what Pattern Keeper tells me. And we're coming to, so on that edge where the stitching ends, peters out, that is the next pair of ladies who are in this. And you can see here, so this is the woman I finished, and this is where I am, right about here. So I'm actually about 50% across the width of it in terms of overall stitches. I think it's 315 or so stitches wide, but there's some stitching still in these areas that is not finished. So that's why it's only 38%, even though I'm close to 50% of the way across. And you know, it's a lot of gray, but really, I would say mostly blends. Kite is known for that. They do a lot of detailed reproductions of paintings and things, and I'll use a lot of blends in order to have the most true color look to it. And it's quite impressive. I mean, I find it a little annoying to do blends, but on the other hand, I like the result. So there's where we are. So get a good look at it, because I probably won't show it again for another several weeks. It goes slowly. And even when I'm stitching right along, the progress is not all that obvious. So that's why I don't show it every time. That particular piece, among other thoughts I have about it, is my 22,000 stitches in 2022 piece. I.e., my goal is to do that, and I'm way behind in terms of a daily average, which should be around 68 or something. I think I've stitched maybe 2,000 stitches, maybe 3. And by now I should be, maybe twice that, close to twice that. So I'm behind, but I'm sure I'll catch up. Just yesterday I did almost 250 stitches in just the evening, so it's not hard to meet the goal. I just have to make it a priority. The next thing I'll show you is Forest Foxes by Stitchy Princess on Etsy. I showed this last time. This is a Ukrainian designer. And I mentioned if you're interested, by the way, if you're interested in Ukrainian Etsy shops, you can search for them. I gave a few in the description box of my last video. And I am about half through with this. So you can see I'm all the way across the width of it. And I am starting to go down and I'm starting to work on some of the foxes. This is very fun. It was actually hard to put down in order to do something else. So I'm enjoying it. I hope to finish it maybe this coming week. Then what, you might ask? I don't know. It's about 6.5 inches, maybe 7 inches wide, the stitching part. I doubt I'll frame it. I don't think it's that special. So I'm not sure. Maybe it will join the pile of completed cross stitches that have not yet been fully finished. That's very possible. But I'm certainly enjoying working on it, which is the point, after all, isn't it? Ultimate Sampler Motif Source Book. When you see that come up, you know I'm about to show you the purple sampler. I haven't done a ton on this, but I have almost finished that tree. I'm quite pleased with the tree. Again, I'm calling it a plum tree, even though probably in the original color scheme of the sampler it came from originally, it probably would have looked more like a lemon tree, but plums are perfectly good. And once I finish that, I will put something under it on either side and something up in the corners of that space on either side, something suitable from that book, the Ultimate Sampler Motifs Source Book, or one of the many other things that I have, sources of ideas that I have. And I also am planning to chart a couple things myself, little motifs that I think would be appropriate for this sampler because of who it's for. And we'll see if I can successfully do that. I probably can. So what else is going on? As you may have guessed, we're into the variety show. So it's been a busy week. Last weekend was kind of busy. And this week has been kind of busy. And normally I try to record on Friday, and you'll notice that today is Saturday. It was hard for me to figure out that today is Saturday. It is, right? Yes, because the week was crazy and certain things happened on days that they don't normally happen on. But it is, I believe, Saturday. And one of the things that we've been doing is watching basketball. Because if you're in the United States, you may be aware of the term March Madness, which refers to the NCAA, mainly the men's NCAA men's basketball tournament, college basketball, and also the women's basketball tournament, which takes place at the same time, although not on the same days. I think the women's tournament is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe, of each week, and the men's is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. And it's all on television, and so if you want to watch basketball pretty much every day of the week, you can see something, college basketball, men's or women's. And we are Tar Heels fans. This shirt from 2017, the last time the Tar Heels won the national championship. Today, I was going to try to record earlier today, early in the morning today. I didn't really have time. We had people coming over to watch the game of the Tar Heels against the Baylor Bears, which started at 12:10. And what a game. As I say, years off my life. Very, very amazing, stressful game. Tons of fouls and issues. There were a lot of controversy. I think probably the Baylor fans think there was controversy in the opposite direction of what the Tar Heel fans think there was controversy about. That's how it goes at these high-level college games. But the Tar Heels won the game in overtime, having led it at one point by 25 points. So this is why I say years off my life. So therefore we play again next Thursday, which is great. Which means next week is going to be a crazy week as well. We have a group of people that we invite over to watch games here regularly. And we will figure out when that game is Thursday. We won't probably know until tomorrow what time we will be playing. And we won't know until 9:30 tonight who we will be playing, because we're playing the winner of a game that starts at 7. So we'll probably, I don't know, we won't be watching that tonight because there's something else going on, of course. Never a dull moment, but that's fine. March Madness, they don't call it that for nothing. So that's one thing going on. But I wanted to talk with you actually about another little foray into books. First of all, I have a little bonus book from the browsing category I covered in 2 or 3 videos ago. A fantastic book to browse is Anguished English by Richard Lederer. Lederer, yes. He's written other books. This book, I think, was written in 1987. So it's out of print. It is actually out of print. However, it's readily available. I checked before I turned on the camera. So you can definitely get it if you're interested. And this is a book. So it is not really a read aloud book, because a lot of it you have to see. It's a homonym or it's a pun or something that you really have to see. And another thing I find about this kind of humor, which I personally find this sort of thing very funny, mistakes in the press and that kind of thing, that mixed metaphors, oddities of the use of language, malapropisms. What I find about this is that trying to share it aloud with a group of people can be problematic, because not everybody gets it. And if you aren't a reader of a certain ilk, you won't necessarily think it's funny or even recognize some of the things. And sometimes if you try to share it, it comes off as condescending or rude or something, elitist, something like that. So I don't often read this sort of thing aloud, but I'm going to read just a couple of examples because I think that they're good enough, they're funny enough, they're clear enough that you'll get it. So one of the chapters is about things that appear in newspapers that are wrong, which, I mean, some of you, my viewers, might not even know what a newspaper is, because we've really moved away from the physical item of newspapers a lot in the past few years, haven't we? But it used to be something in which that was printed, and once it was printed, and it was distributed the way it was. And if there were mistakes in it, then they had to be corrected in a future edition. Nowadays, with things on the web, you can notice a mistake and just correct it. And that's, I think, better, but it does not lead to as much funniness. So this was, I'll just read a couple of things here from the chapter called, well, I don't know what it's called, but it's on page 80 and 81. Even when a newspaper staff discovers that it has splattered egg on its pages, the cleanup operation can be embarrassingly messy, as witness these so-called corrections. Here's the first one. Our paper carried the notice last week that Mr. Oscar Hofnagel is a defective on the police force. This was a typographical error. Mr. Hofnagel is, of course, a detective on the police farce. So, another one. Yesterday, we mistakenly reported that a talk was given by a battle-scared hero. We apologize for the error. We obviously meant that the talk was given by a bottle-scarred hero. So that's the kind of thing. It makes fantastic browsing. But you might want to not read it in bed if you have a sleeping spouse next to you, because you might wake them up with your chuckling. And some of it's visual, you know, there are a few cartoons in here, but very, very enjoyable. And then the other thing that I'm interested in is illustrated children's books. Now there's a category of books which are nominated annually for the Caldecott Medal. The Caldecott Medal is for illustrations, illustrated children's books. This is a little different from the Newbery Medal, which is for children's literature, young adult literature, the literature itself, not the illustrations, but the Caldecott is specifically for illustrated children's books. And one of my favorite creators of these is David Wiesner, W-I-E-S-N-E-R. And this book, Tuesday, I bought before it was awarded the Caldecott Honor. So this wasn't a Caldecott winner, but a Caldecott Honor. And I like his books because the illustrations are so rich. And the story is told sometimes without any words or very many words. So it's quite interesting. I'll just show one picture from this book, Tuesday. And of course, this is not the beginning. This is not the beginning of the story. So you can use your imagination to think about what might have come before. I suggest you go to your local library and take a look at the book to see what the whole thing is about. Another one he wrote is Hurricane. This one has more words in it than some of them do. And in this one, the situation is that there was a storm and a big tree fell outside the, well, here the tree hasn't fallen yet, but here's the stormy night. And when they get up in the morning, they find that this big tree has fallen. And living in North Carolina, I can tell you that this happens. This is realistic. And then the story goes on to tell how those two little boys who are pictured there imagine, how their imagination is sparked by this fallen tree in their yard. And, you know, there are different illustrations about that. They're wonderful books to read or to look at together with children, say, age 3 years old and older, who can connect with some of the things that are being shown in the pictures. And this is a book called Sector 7. And in this book, a group of children go on a field trip with their class to visit Sector 7, where the clouds are made. And you just get this glimpse of what it is, why it is that we see things in clouds when we look up. And they have, you know, exercises they do with their class. And so when you look up in the sky and you imagine that you see something in the clouds, that's where this book gets its idea. So David Wiesner, he's written several other books. 2 of them are Caldecott winners, and probably 7 or 8 other books. To my knowledge, these are still in print. I'd looked them up shortly before this. And if not currently in print, they're certainly readily available. Really enjoy them. I have a whole collection of illustrated children's books. Now, I say these are still in print, which is kind of remarkable, and I'm sure it's because he's won the Caldecott Medal. It used to be that when I saw a really beautiful illustrated children's book, I just went ahead and bought it because they don't stay in print long. And the ones that are truly beautiful, the ones that would qualify for the Caldecott consideration, are not popular. They're not the popular based on movies and things like that. They are illustrated for the illustration's sake, for the story's sake. And they're just spectacular. Very well worth the investment of purchasing them. And I read most of my books now on Kindle. I mean, the books that I read. I don't mean children's books, clearly. Or I listen to them on Audible. But illustrated children's books you should have as a book. It's really worth it. I have many. I might show some more in future videos. But David Wiesner is great. And another place to find great illustrated children's books is to Google the Caldecott Medal. And any medal winner or nominee is going to be a gorgeous book. So that's just something I think. That's all I really had to talk about today. I hope that you are enjoying your weekend and getting cross-stitch done or spending time with children. Enjoying that wonderful curiosity and a stage of imagination that children embody and that can spark us to have more imagination as well. So that's all for today, and thanks for joining me. I suggest you subscribe and click the little bell if you haven't already, because especially the next couple of weeks with March Madness still going on and some other things that are keeping us busy, I'm not 100% certain that I will be recording on Fridays, which is my usual day. So that would be a thought. So you won't miss one of my outstanding videos, don't you think? Thanks so much for joining me. Many blessings, friends.